Hey, the daddy of all bartenders, the first, the most famous of them all, Mr. Professor Jerry Thomas. October 30th, 1830, a very famous person was born, in terms of bartending anyway, a guy called Jeremiah P. Thomas. This is the guy who created the first book for bartending, How to Mix Drinks, the Bartender's Guide by Mr. Jerry Thomas in 1862. This guy was a legend. He was the first. He was the first flair bartender. He was the first to create some modern American drinks that we have now. He was the first, and he had a phenomenal life, and you should really look into him. It was amazing what he did. And it all pretty much started for him in 1840 when his family moved to Connecticut, and he started working in bars at the age of 16. This was way before child labor laws were in effect, by the way, obviously. And he started, and he loved it. And then he left that, went on a ship, jumped off the ship, and ended up working at the Illinois Hotel in San Francisco. But also during that little period, he became a gold miner. He almost died of cholera, right? Unbelievable. And then he started being a full-time bartender at the Illinois Hotel in San Francisco. Then after being at the Illinois Hotel in San Francisco, he then moves back to the New York City and works in a bar underneath Barnum's Museum. Then after a little stint of being in there, he ends up going to places like Charleston, New Orleans, St. Louis, and also in Chicago. He also ends up in Keokuk, which by the way is in Iowa. I have no idea what was there. There must have been a good bar. I don't know. And then in 1858, he ends up becoming the head bartender at the Metropolitan Hotel in New York City. And this is where he really starts getting into making drinks and creating a set standard for drinks. And that's why in 1862, he wrote his book, the famous book on how to mix drinks, or the Bon Vivant Companion for bartenders by Mr. Jerry Thomas. He's also got a nickname, the Professor Jerry Thomas, by the journalist at the time. And then we come back to where he starts his own bar. And in 1865, he opened up his own bar called the Picture Saloon. It was doing really well, and then suddenly he lost the lease in 1872. So he ended up moving and creating another bar called the Thomas Exchange. Now he was doing really well until 1876, and then he became bankrupt. Now the rumor has it that he was also a big gambler as well. Not just the fact that he was also a drinker, but that's one of the salites of being in the bar industry. But he was bankrupt. And that was in 1876. And then after that, he just basically became a bar manager or a bartender, all floating around different bars in New York City. And then in 1882, he was bankrupt again, right? So literally his life was like a big, giant fucking roller coaster. It was nuts. And then unfortunately on December 15th, 1885, he passed away. Right? And that's Jerry Thomas. I mean, look him up. His life is amazing because also in between that time while he was across and working bars in the USA, he also went to Europe. He also went to Cuba and the Caribbean and South America and Mexico. You know, he went everywhere. Right? Worked bars, tended bars, looked at things, worked it out and created some of the most iconic drinks. And then we're going to make two drinks. One drink we're going to do in this episode, which is called the Japanese cocktail. I'm going to tell you the story behind it and how to make one. And then in our next episode is the one that we're going to do, which is the one that even scares me. And I've been doing this one quite a while. And I also know other bartenders who are as old as I am, or even older, that even when you think about making this drink or someone asks for this drink, fear will grip you. And it's called the Blue Blazer. Now, have a look at other videos on this as well, because this is something you don't fuck about with. So when you watch my second episode, please watch it properly, put the volume on and listen to the warnings that I give you about the drink you're gonna make, because it involves fire. But here we go, the Japanese cocktail. So 1862, the book is published, and this is a book that created a sort of set standard on how to make drinks. So any bartender who was starting out anywhere around the 1860s or 1870s would go and pick up this book, and everything would be in there on how to make toddies, juleps, cocktails, slings, fixes, fizzes, daisies, pousse cafes, punches, single measure punches, and of course nogs, right? This book did it. The champagne cocktail, the whiskey cocktail, the improved drink, all in this book, right? First person to ever do it. And one of the drinks I'm going to tell you about now is called the Japanese cocktail. Now, some people probably say that's a little racist. All right, I can understand, but please remember, this drink was made in 1860, right? This is 160 years ago. Things were a little different back then. This was actually even before the American Civil War. So slavery was still alive and kicking. In some cases, it actually hasn't even fucking ended yet. But there we go, that's another story. But in 1860, Japan visited America with its first ever diplomatic mission. And there was one of the delegates was a guy called Takeshi Noriyuki. My pronunciation is not that good, but AKA Tommy. That's what they called him. Now Tommy, or Takeshi, loved going to the bars, right? He hit the town, man. He went nuts in New York City and he drank, right? And he used to go and see Jerry Thomas a lot. And Jerry Thomas, it's like with me, I have a lot of bartenders, regulars, who will come into my bar, and there are particular drinks that they would like. And Jerry Thomas made a drink for him, and it's called the Japanese cocktail. And it's a stirred drink, and it is, are you ready? It is 2 ounces of cognac. Then it's also, some people say it should be about half an ounce of Orgeat. I think that's a little bit too much, so I actually put a lot less in. I would actually put in about 1/4 ounce, or maybe just under 2 bar spoons of Orgeat. Okay. Then, if you can get it, try and find these Bogarts bitters. All right, put in 2 dashes. That's it. All right. Then stir. Get yourself a nice glass. Chill it. Strain. Lemon oil. What I do, just a little garnish over the top, like so. In this case, generally don't do much on the garnish side of things, but there we go on this one. And there we go. That is the Japanese cocktail. So simple. Oh, and it's fantastic. Oh, what a wonderful drink. So simple as well, just 3 ingredients. Try and use cognac if you can, though I know it's expensive, but a good brandy, French brandy, will work well, or a good high-end Spanish brandies. But there you go, it's a wonderful drink, and that's Jerry Thomas. Okay, and our next video, we're going to do something called the Blue Blazer, which is a whiskey drink and a flamed drink. And this is the one where I think, you know, follow my video and please listen to what I say, okay? because it's a great story, it's a great drink, it's also a very dangerous drink. And on that note, fuck off, get home safe.